If you want me to run home for you, just write me a pass.
Yeah, just
Nobody cares about those kids in the second grade.
Yo, they can hear you.
yeah, they hear you. That's Garrett speaking about you.
He literally hates every single one of it.
Don't worry, I love you guys.
Figure it out yourself.
Alright.
Yeah, here's something brand new, figure it out.
Yeah, sounds good. Alright, so it says if a circle is centered at 8, -5, and the circle passes through 0, 1, what's the length of the radius of a circle? So, we don't have to graph this, so that's why there's not graph paper here, because we actually have enough information to set this up. And hopefully you guys notice it looks like another formula that we're familiar with. So they're giving us, if they give us the center, they're giving us what? What do we call those?
H and K.
H and K. That's our new words for those. Our H and K is the center. And if they're giving us a point that goes through the circle goes through, that's what? X and Y. So they're giving us like 4 out of the 5 variables in this problem, so we should be able to solve this. So our formula says that we subtract the X and the H. And then we add that to the Y and K subtracted. And that should equal R squared. Does this formula look familiar to you at all? You've seen a formula like this before. Anyone? If I took the square root to get R alone, what does this look like? Close. It has similarities to it. This one looks exactly like a certain formula we've used. Maybe not this year.
I mean, it kind of looks like a slope, but
Yeah,
it
a little bit.
doesn't get squared.
The square root, if I put the square root on, it almost looks like it is identical to the distance formula. Do you remember that
No.
big D? No, you don't remember
That's
that.
not it.
We're gonna learn the distance formula tomorrow, so tomorrow it'll be like, oh yeah, it does look like that. All right, so anyway, yeah. So much to look forward to. So what's the radius?
Then
10. All right. Did you still need that, Cash? Okay, just speak up then. That's okay.
Oh, man.
All right. So guys, our next problem is a little bit trickier. And this might require a little bit more work because based off of you guys not remembering what the distance formula is, it makes me think you're not going to remember this other formula either. But, yeah. So the endpoints of the diameter, they give you the 2 endpoints that are hiding under my Smart Notebook logo. Find the center, radius, and the equation of the circles. Kind of all the pieces that we need here. So they're giving us the endpoints of the diameter. So we'll talk about like what that means for us here in a second. Make sure that I'll get that last example down. You're good? Okay. So, if they're giving me the endpoints of the diameter, now again, I'm not going to graph this, and so you're going to have to bear with me that the fact that these points might kind of throw some of you guys off. If we have the endpoints of the diameter, again, it doesn't really matter what it looks like, so I've made P at -1, 3, and then Q at 7, -5. That doesn't look anything like what it should look like, but just bear with me there. That's the endpoints of the diameter, so I would draw a circle around those. Where would I find the center of that? In the middle, right? The very middle of this. Does anyone remember how we find the middle, or what we call the midpoint, between 2 points? Yeah, you're just taking the average of them. You add them together and divide by 2. This is the midpoint formula. Thank you for remembering this one. I'll be thankful for Maria. So we're just adding the x's, adding the y's, divided by 2. That's giving us the middle of it. And essentially you're taking the average of the points. 2, which is 3. And then I get 8 divided by 2, which is 4. That sound right? But it's, oh no, I'm adding it, sorry, thank you. Thanks for catching that. I was thinking distance, so it's, okay, so that part's okay, but this one's not. Yes, thank you. I was gonna look at my coordinates and I'm like, I don't think that sounds right. Thank you. So it's 3 plus a negative 5, so that'll be a negative 2 divided by 2, so negative 1. And you should go back and look, and between 7 and negative 1, the halfway point, between 3 and negative 5, that's our halfway point. So we found the center. So now we've found h and k, and then this problem just becomes like the last one, where I have a point, I have the center, I should be able to find r, I should be able to write our equation of our circle. So, so let's find r. So again, this is the h and k. So I don't know, let's just go these two. Remember, when you square a negative, it becomes a positive. So this time the radius is a decimal. That's perfectly okay. This will happen. Don't let that bother you. Square root of 32 is not a nice number. So the radius would be the square root of 32, which would be like 5 point something. But if they want the equation of our circle, the last thing we'd like to put this all back together again. They want the center, they want the radius, and they want that into our circle. So we're going to take all this now and put this together. Now I actually, well, yikes, I'm going to leave r squared as 32 because when I put that into my circle equation, I square it anyway. So it's going to be x minus our h, y minus our k, so it ends up being plus k, and then equals our r squared, which is going to be 32 because I squared it. So that's our equation of our circle. Okay. All right, so now we go on to why we did the warm-up questions we did. Because right now, the way they're going to give us this equation, we have to be able to write the equation of the circle from that, and right now it's kind of a big mess, because if you notice, it doesn't really look like this. So, take a deep breath.